back, Tanya Junghans' first book, Dreamer, The Order of Makeba, chronicles the search of a young girl for her place in the world of dreams, star-traveling light creatures, and her battle to uphold her true identity as a child of mixed lineage. The main character was inspired by the author's desire to support her daughter as she navigates her identity as a child of mixed origin. The novel tells a gripping, genre-defying story of a girl named Tando's coming of age that incorporates elements of science fiction, magic realism, and contemporary race theory. Well, she joins us now to discuss this further. Tanya, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for joining us on the Weekend Report.
Oh, thank you for having me.
The book cover looks incredible, of course.
Thank you.
But let's talk about what inspired you to write the book. I mean, what drew you to the themes of identity?
Well, it's having a daughter of mixed lineage, as you said, and having her raised in another country away from my people. I thought it would be prudent and also fun to introduce the themes of my people and the culture and the folklore and, you know, our practices in a way that isn't prescriptive and forceful, but in a fun way where she can read about it and be curious and have a curiosity piqued to search further, you know?
Yeah. When we talk about fantasy, young adult fantasy, there's a lot of emphasis that's put on, you know, the magic systems, building that world. Talk to us about that. Where did you draw that creativity from? Was it largely from, you know, the mixed heritage or just your own personal experiences?
Well, the world building of the books were based on just dreams that I have at night. I feel like I cheated a bit because other writers, they have to like really put their heart into creating these complex worlds. Whereas with me, I was just, you know, sort of like scribing from memory of the things that I dreamt of. So the different planets and the different creatures are just, you know, things that I have seen when I'm asleep. And I thought I will incorporate them in a story that allows me to work themes of identity, of finding one's heritage, of, you know, just exploring South Africa as well. Another
element, of course, of the genre of fantasy, rather, is, you know, the magic itself. And, you know, Tanda, of course, is the central figure. Talk to us about how she sort of works together with the magic and how it affects her life.
Well, the magic is quite normal in a sense that I just use a metaphor for combining one's mind with one's body and one's soul, and said, you know what, if you have those things in alignment, you become a very powerful being. However, I took those elements and made it into these magical things that when you have them aligned, you get magical powers. And that is where Makeba comes from, where once you have your mind body in place and your source body and your physical body in place, then you develop this way of being able to manipulate the electromagnetic spectrum, which means that you can teleport, you know, you can move quicker, you become just, you know, a super being. A super being, yes. And I used the metaphor of real life and just made it into superpowers. So it wasn't like, I tried not to be preachy, you know, and made it fun. Through the superpowers of Makeba.
Now, I know that the book was written, you know, largely with your daughter in mind and hoping to introduce her to your heritage, your culture, and the world that she may not necessarily be exposed to. But I wonder for other young girls, boys reading the book, how are they going to be resonating with the character of Utando?
I resonate with the character of Utando because the main theme and the main archetype that is being used here is of an underdog who, through challenges, through hurdles, is able to find some goodness and lessons in those hurdles and overcomes it and becomes the most powerful she's ever been. And I think every human can identify with that. All of us have been through challenges. All of us have been the underdog, the learner, the beginner. And we experience these difficulties. And some of us give up. But in the book, I'm saying there's a reason for these difficulties is to teach you something, and you can go from underdog to winner if you just persevere and get to know yourself. And I think that is a common theme amongst all humans, really. And another theme that I explored in the book is the archetype of the master and the apprentice. You know, many of us, we would like to have somebody teach us the ways of life. And unfortunately, we have to teach ourselves. And in this book, it shows that, yes, even though somebody is not there to guide you, you can guide yourself through learning, through exploration, through finding knowledge and incorporating it into your life and making it into wisdom. And all of us can also identify with that. It's for the people who are lone wolves, you know, or people who are kind of misunderstood, or people who'd like to be more than what they were told they were. And I believe that many of us have been in those situations, and many of us will identify with that.
Incredible. Well, the broader themes of contemporary race theory that I touched on in the introduction, I want to talk to you about that a little bit, because obviously it's incorporated in the book, and I wonder, just in terms of a larger conversation in a country like ours with our history, whether or not there are ways in which we can have those conversations with our kids that helps them to locate themselves in an environment, in a social fabric that is as complex and as nuanced as ours.
Yeah, it becomes quite difficult to explore those themes because in many cases there's a lot of judgment, especially from a country like ours, South Africa, where our cultural practices were demonized before, you know. And I just wrote this book with the intention of saying that whatever mix you are, even if you're not mixed, like your heritage is mixed. You know, if you go down the line long enough, you'll find that there are identities that are outside your current reality. I wanted people to just understand that you have every right to explore that, to find yourself. And the definitions of, you know, as much as the character is biracial, the book is more about multi-lineage. So I'm a monoracial person and of Xhosa and Zulu heritage, and I can identify with this book because, you know, people will say, who do you identify with? Is it your father? Is it your mother? And I think both are your birthright, and it's just how you are culturally raised that, you know, dictates which one you choose. And people have an idea that, you know, culture is genetic, and it's not. You know, you grow up, you get taught culture, you inherit it, you marry into culture. So I just wanted to make it easier and say it's not that complicated. If you identify with something and the people who can teach you that culture, that way of life, are willing to, you know, welcome you into their world and you respect that, you can do that and get to know yourself.
I'd imagine that maybe, and I may be reading this into the book, but that's where Thando's power lies. I mean, you talked about the alignment and the journey that our protagonist has to go on to find herself, but that in allowing herself to explore her multi-lineage, you know, therein lies her power. And that's how she's, in fact, able to tap into it and open herself up to it.
Yes, it's about accepting the truth. And I think, you know, as individuals, if we have parts of ourselves that we reject, I think that's when we get misaligned.
And lose power.
And lose power. And lose understanding and peace and harmony. And a lot of parts of ourselves we feel like we should reject because they're not widely celebrated or because they are frowned upon. You know, there's so many things that could, you know, push an individual to reject a part of themselves. And my thing is you should accept both or all parts of who you are. They all are useful in how you can self-actualize.
Well, the book, is it launched already?
The launch is on the 13th of June.
Right.
However, the book is available in stores now, and it is available as an ebook on all these ebook platforms.
Right.
However, the launch itself is at Melrose Arch at Exclusive Books on the 13th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what are you hoping readers of The Dreamer will take away from this novel? You've said, I mean, it's been categorized as young adult fantasy,
yes.
but you've mentioned that the messaging here, the themes can resonate across generations. What are you hoping readers take away from going on this journey with Utando?
First and foremost, I'm hoping for the reader to have fun. To just, have that weekend where they can't put the book down because it's just so interesting and so adventurous. And
finish it in one sitting.
Yeah. That's what I'm hoping, because that's the whole point of a book. As much as you can derive themes of deeper understanding, it needs to be good. It needs to be fun and enjoyable. It needs to be something that makes you have a laugh or have some moment of clarity or some form of wonder and say, maybe there is another world out there, type of thing. That's what I want.
Star traveling.
Yes.
I want to try that.
I want some people to dream, basically. As far as the other themes are concerned, I mean, if you feel like going deeper, you can. It's there for you. But if you have it's a weekend away, you're sitting at the pool and you just want to have a nice, light, good read, you can get that because it's written in such a way that isn't pretentious or too hard to get into. And I wanted that. I wanted every level of thinker or every level of reader to be able to enjoy it without straining themselves.
It is your first book.
Yes.
I wonder if there isn't another book burgeoning.
Yes. It's a duology.
Oh, fantastic.
So I'm in the middle of writing the second one now.
Yeah.
And Dreamer is part of a universe called Dreamerverse. So there will be other installments, other series that are somewhat connected to this one.
Duologies have the habit of becoming trilogies. I don't know if you've heard of the curse of the duology.
I know, I tried. I wanted the book to be fast-paced and good.
Yeah.
I didn't want to drag things.
Of course, of course.
And so that's why I compacted it into a duology. However, if I am inspired at the end of the second one and I see there's something cooking, hey, who knows,
Who knows? Tanya, thank you so much
thank
for
you
your time and coming into our studios and talking to us about your book, your new offering, A Dreamer, The Activation of Makeba. That is author Tanya Junghans talking to us there about her book.